on. We're back on.
What's up?
Here we go again.
We're
Another thing to talk about here on the Spike and Chris show. Yeah, now, Chris actually had a topic he was going to discuss on the last one, and then we started talking about what software I used to do the production on this for some reason. Even though I'm sure we've had that conversation before, but anyway, what you got?
Okay, so news, of course, you know.
Sean Connery is still dead.
Sean Connery has passed away at 90.
Still dead. Okay, go ahead. Abe Vigoda's still dead too, by the way. Anyway, go ahead.
So since July, actor, I don't want to call him an actor because his career is already dead. Ray Fisher, known as Cyborg in the Justice League movie, and will be again Cyborg in the Zack Snyder cut Justice League movie, has been complaining about the toxic environment and everything that happened with Joss Whedon. Now, he's only said that, you know, it was toxic. That's it. Like, that's all he said. Well, now, with all the people that has backed him up, Warner Brothers is under investigation because of this for some odd reason.
Well, Warner Brothers is investigating because of the accusation.
Yeah, well, this is just one of the things that has hit the flame with Warner Brothers. It's something else because they let go a bunch of people during a bad time.
That's AT&T trying to pay off all the debt they did in order to acquire the company. Go ahead.
But now, and I remember as we talked about this, I said, surprisingly, this has nothing to do with race. Didn't I say that?
Yeah, you did. And I think I pretty much told you it would turn into race.
Yeah.
And guess who won a pony on that one?
Yeah. So Ray Fisher has now came out saying that he is disgusted and everything because they had to change his skin tone for the film. That's all there was. Now, I'm just going to lay it out here. Let's forget about the race issue. Let's forget about Ray Fisher. Let's talk about Cyborg. This is how my feelings about Cyborg. Cyborg looks great as a cartoon character on Teen Titans Go, and all that. Even though I love Doom Patrol, Cyborg looks like he is a cosplayer. It looks so fake. It's horrible.
I'm going to say this about Doom Patrol. Okay? Now, the thing I didn't understand, I mean, I understand why they included Cyborg for his freakishness, okay? You got Robot Man there. Why do you need Cyborg?
Exactly.
You got Robot Man.
Sure.
He's an entire robot.
Yeah.
With a human brain inside, he's an entire robot.
He doesn't act like
why
he
do
has
you
a brain
Cyborg?
on the show, though.
No. Because it's Doom Patrol.
But, I mean, his get-up is literally like, it's like plastered on, and it looks so fake. Love the show, though, but I always thought that. Justice League, when I first saw Cyborg, the movie, I was like, man, his whole body might as well just be CGI. Because that's pretty much what it is. And it looks horrible because it's like, for some reason, there's like a lot of glaziness around him.
Yeah. It's the same reason J.J. Abrams has the hots for lens flares.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say, don't sit there and say, well, that's because Joss Whedon got a hold of it and changed everything. No. Do not say that. Way before the movie came out, and you had your trailers that Zack Snyder was still kind of part of and stuff, it still looked the same. It wasn't until like a little bit after that they said, we're going to like, you know, brighten it up a little bit because everything's so dark.
And that's when Ray Fisher got his skin tone changed.
Yeah, because
they were trying to actually make it where people could tell what the hell was happening on camera, because DC for decades now has refused to pay for lighting on their productions.
So it had nothing to do with race. So don't stop and think that it had anything to do with race.
That's what he claims because he wants victimhood.
Because he wants all this, and what he's doing. Let me tell you something. This is what's going to happen to Ray Fisher, and if I'm
Hold on,
lying,
I'm going to stop you right now. Let's stop right now before you.
Should I not? Should I not
just
say
shut
it?
it down. Just shut it down. What's going to happen to Ray Fisher? Everybody can see it coming. Okay, hold on. Just do yourself the favor. Don't draw the heat. Okay, you can see this coming from a mile away. You can see. No, Chris can see it coming from a mile away. Okay, everybody can see it coming from a mile away. We can all see this coming from a mile away. Just sit back, watch the train wreck.
Yeah.
And you know what? No comments. Give him the Jussie Smollett treatment. Everybody, remember Jussie Smollett?
No.
Okay, Jussie Smollett was on Empire, the Fox series.
I never watched
about
it.
Black Record. Okay, you don't need to know his story. Jussie Smollett, a while back, said that he had been beaten up by white supremacist Trump supporters.
Yeah. Okay.
And he wound up paying off a couple of idiots to work him over a little bit so he could file a police report so he could get some kind of attention out there because his contract with Empire was about to expire and nobody was impressed with the job he was doing on the show. So by doing this, he suddenly becomes unfireable. They have to renew his contract. He has to do another season of Empire. And sure enough, it's what he got. And then, of course, the story quickly fell apart completely. And suddenly, he didn't get that contract. And should we bring him back? Should we not bring him back? What they wound up doing, they didn't bring him back, and they wound up canceling the show because it was just too much heat for Fox to deal with. So they're like, if this is what Empire fans are going to be doing, crying about Jussie Smollett and his fake crime reporting self, we don't want nothing to do with it. And Fox dropped it. Better than a plate of piss.
I tell you what, if he does by far means ends up rising ahead of this, I'm going to be shocked.
Ray Fisher is
Just
Justice. Remember, Justice League. Justice will be done. The truth always outs eventually. And guys who are crying for attention tend to be the ones least deserving of it. Walk away, give him the Jussie Smollett treatment. If Ray Fisher wants to cry, let him cry to his little circle of fans. And just understand, you don't want to step in that radioactive dog pile. Okay? You don't want none of this on you. Just walk away from it.
Should we talk about how he, even though he's complaining about how toxic it is, but what did we talk about before about all the other famous directors and stuff that had to push the limit to get what they needed out of their actors and stuff like that? Even though this was a whole different situation because it was like, oh, we need a new director. Can you do this? Can you do this? We get this amount of time, this amount of money. Can you do it? Get it done so we can have this movie ready to go. Mm-hmm. Whole different story. But you got like people like, James Cameron, what he does with his people, his actors he pushes down to the limit. Michael Bay.
Steven Spielberg does that.
Yeah.
George Lucas does that. All the great Hollywood producers do that. Cecil B. DeMille, little jerk ass, did that back in the day. The great directors pull what they need out of Alfred Hitchcock and what he did to poor old Vivien Leigh on the set of The Birds. Was it Vivien Leigh? Yeah, I think it was Vivien. On the set of The Birds, Hitchcock having people throwing live birds at the actresses on the screens. He's getting the best he can out of these people. So,
and these movies are now classics because of what they do. If you are new to the business, don't sit there and complain about, oh, it shouldn't be this way. You don't know.
Well, that's the entitlement coming through. And when everybody gets an award for participating, you go into life expecting the award for participating. He was in Justice League, that makes him a star, equal to, who else was in there? Ben Affleck was Batman in the Justice League movie. So now Ray Fisher is Ben Affleck's peer. He's his equal now. He is just as important to Justice League as Ben Affleck was as Batman. So obvious, and Gal Gadot was as Wonder Woman, whoever the hell played Superman in that thing. I don't care. And he's learning the hard way fast that when you open your big fat mouth, you usually make things a lot worse for yourself. I stopped listening to Ray Fisher when he started talking smack about Jeff Johns, because Jeff Johns can write what? Jeff Johns could write obituaries to the Mount Sterling Advocate, and I'd be sitting there licking the print off the page. Because I love reading Jeff Johns.
Well, I mean, is
Jeff Johns perfect? No. But I know Jeff Johns is an incredible talent. He's a really good storyteller. I know he's my cup of tea. And so when Ray Fisher, whoever this little nudnik is, making his little baseless allegations like about, seriously, about 15, 20 other people this year so far have made similar allegations against other people. You go to the... I just push you onto the side and wait for 2020 to go away.
Well, I mean, it's really hilarious that he's making all these allegations, but Joss Whedon has worked on so many things, and nobody that he's worked with has came out and said anything bad about him. And it's funny also that none of the other Justice League members has literally came out and said anything bad about what's going on.
Right.
Except for Jason Momoa, but all he said was, yeah, he's right. That was it.
Because
Like,
Joss Whedon can be an a-hole, okay? Take any of his fans. What did Joss Whedon do? Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Buffy.
There's Buffy, he did Firefly, he did a bunch of other shows, alright? So, Joss Whedon's been going around handling all these other franchises, the Avengers. He's been writing Marvel Comics. He does all this stuff. There is, over on tvtropes.org, don't go there, it's the biggest time suck on the internet. It's all about storytelling techniques. TV tropes. There's a trope called Jossed. Jossed. Jossed, and it's named after Joss Whedon. Everybody believes this about something a creator has done, and then the creator just comes out and says, I don't see. Buffy and Spike ship it? Nah, I don't, that didn't happen. And so he just turns around and snaps his fingers, and all of a sudden his reality changes. People who do that, Joss Whedon, like I said, it got named after him. He does the Word of God, and he changes everything around. He ticks off a bunch of his fans every time he does this. Although his fans will eventually forgive him because he's doing another project. Joss Whedon is a jerk. Okay, let's be honest. And Jeff Johns, Jeff Johns is probably a jerk too. He's been in Hollywood for decades. He's going to be jerked by association eventually. Because remember, Jeff Johns was working with Richard Donner on Superman.
Mm.
That's where he got his start. Okay, that's his cred when it comes to DC. Superman. The first frickin' Superman in 1978, okay? I'm sorry, but Ray Fisher, if you're talking about Jeff Johns can point to Superman 1978. He can point to all the work he's done at DC Comics. He can point to all the work he's done at Marvel Comics. He can point to all this nerd street cred he's got. And are there stories about Jeff Johns? Yes, there are. Are there stories about Joss Whedon? Of course there are. But guess what? It's you against them and all the people who have worked with them over the years who are like, I don't know what in the world Ray Fisher is talking about. So, like I said, it'll all come out in the wash. So don't get none of that radioactive dog pile on you. And you know what? Let's just keep the radioactive dog pile off of this episode. Let's start a new one. So we'll see you on the next episode of the Spike Chris.